nothing I'd ever experienced to such a long distance in this little tiny VW bug, as they called it in those days, with um, three other members of ABSCHOL. I went with Chris Page, Chris Donaldson-Wood, and Mike Jones. And yeah, it was a long, exciting journey with lots of adventures and mishaps too.
Yeah. When did you go?
May 1968.
Why did you go?
Well, as I said before, we were members of ABSCHOL, which means Aboriginal scholarships. That there's an ABSCHOL organisation in every university in Australia, and set up to raise money to get some I think the first Aborigine into university. But when the Gurindjis walked out of Wade Hill, and we heard a little bit about it, but not much, the director of ABSCHOL decided to send up a fact-finding mission, which was us, to find out what's going on up there.
How did you get there?
Well, partly by the little VW, but partly we had to truck because of the floods that happened then. We had to truck the car on a train and travel on the train for a while. I think we stopped at Winton. We were able to keep going from there. Yeah.
When you got to Catherine, I believe you saw something written in one of the local papers. What did it say?
Well, the headline of the Northern Territory News sitting on the table while we were having breakfast said, "Southerners coming to help Aborigines invade towns." And we thought, oh, that looks interesting. Wonder what that's all about.
Yeah.
So we had a read of it, and then when we saw the cartoon, it had 4 ABSCHOL students sitting on a bandwagon.
Wow.
So we realised that this is us they're talking about.
When you got to the NT, what did you do there?
Well, we only had one we had decided, having seen this article, which looked, we're facing something fairly serious. There's a lot of antagonism in that article, and even paranoia about these Southerners. So we visited our only contact, Stan Smith and his wife, and decided to split up. 2 of us would go and visit welfare and let them show us what they had to show us, and 2 of us would go with we'd try and talk to as many Aboriginal people as we could to find out their perspective on what was going on.
Yeah.
We went to the pub and met Philip Roberts after we had a talk to other Aborigines and the mob there, and he offered to take us on a trip that he was doing anyway to do a health check of his people. He worked for the health department in an old Land Rover, and we went to visit the different reserves and different cattle stations, and sometimes we'd get lost and take days to find a particular station, and then we'd find only to be greeted at the gate with some men with pointing guns at us and telling us to go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was scary.
I felt confident in Philip all the way through the trip. He was an amazing man, and always in control of the situation he was in. And he would talk to them, and we'd just turn away and do what they wanted. What else could we do?
Did you do what you wanted to do there?
Well, as far as the fact-finding mission, we finding out about welfare, which we wrote a report on for Opus that got discussed in a television program. Welfare of the Aborigines, struggle for survival. So we had explored that area, and that was good. That we saw that really it was in welfare department's interest to keep Aborigines dependent because their jobs relied on it basically. You know, they had no interest in Aboriginal people being independent.
Yeah.
And what the Aboriginal people really wanted was to stop being abused and used, and they wanted their right to live their own life in peace on their own land, and that's why the Gringies initially walked out of Wave Hill and set up camp on Wattie Creek, which was their spiritual sacred area.
Did the trip change you?
A real eye-opener for me. I think for anybody seeing, you know, a first world country like Australia, to see our own people, Aboriginal people, living in humpies. These are working people doing dangerous jobs, long hours, jobs that the white people couldn't do, stop them, and they go home to these little humpies that are about as high as your shoulder, and thrown together with, you know, bits of tin and rag. I just found that absolutely shocking.
How did it change you?
Well, as I say, once you see something, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
So, yes, I could not just carry on my life
Yeah.
as if I wasn't aware of what was going on up there.